I was at the Project Management Institute Global Summit in Arizona, and there are a few key takeaways that I really think could be helpful to a lot of people. Many of the conversations I had were about starting a PMO office or getting more mature with their project management processes. A lot of questions were around the work I've done with our customers, what I've seen, and what I recommend, knowing what I know now. I think this really comes down to just starting. And when you're building a PMO office for the first time, really making sure that you're bringing in all of that work within your organization or the specific department that your PMO is for, bringing in all of that work, making sense of it, your start, your end dates. How are they building project schedules? How are tasks happening? Is this all happening in Outlook? Is this all happening on a Google Calendar? And really understanding where the team is today. When it comes to that resource planning piece of it, I think people who are just now starting a PMO actually have a really big advantage here. It's no secret that resource management is truthfully one of the hardest things in project and portfolio management. That's just how this works. But when you're first starting, you have the chance to really implement and adopt these processes around forecasting with roles, understanding the percentage of effort or time that your roles and resources are going to be working, understanding how that conflicts with capacity to determine what availability is. And I really think, like I said, these people are at an advantage when it comes to these processes. Now, that leads me to the more mature organizations and individuals asking, okay, well, how do I get people to start doing resource planning when they're so married to their project schedules, when individuals within the organization aren't willing to adopt something new? And I told those individuals to really focus on the end. If a project manager is unwilling to give up their project schedule, or they're unwilling to really look past their JIRA and what they're doing there, with resource planning, they are going to be able to see when their projects, when their sprints, their epics, whatever that is, when those things are going to be at risk and get delayed due to resource conflicts. So really focusing on each person involved and understand what do they get if they start doing resource planning. And truthfully, doing that work for them ahead of time and then presenting them with the data. The data doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be able to tell a story that they care about. That is going to be one of the biggest things. Unfortunately, we can't flip the light switch and have everyone do what we want. But when people understand what they get out of it, they're going to be more likely to adopt it. The second thing we really talked about is also the data quality of it all. And understanding when you're integrating systems, what should be the top and what should be the bottom? How should the data flow? In my opinion, Tempus Resource and Tempus Portfolio are two products. Our products are very, very good at bringing in all of the information and making sense of it. So for example, your HR data, your resources, when are they starting? When are they ending? What is their rate? Currently? What is their role currently? Who is their manager? Things like that really matter when you're making your resource allocations and forecasts. When you have your project plans in a different tool, and honestly, probably many of them, Tempus Resource and Tempus Portfolio bring all that information in so that way there's one system that has all of this work. Sure, the details of the plan are going to be somewhere else. Let them be somewhere else. When it comes to the actuals and the timesheet system you're using, though that information matters. And honestly, for a lot of organizations, that data sits in their HR system and it's not even touching projects. Bringing that information in so that way you can compare your plan to actuals. And then also thinking too, your CRM system. If you're an organization where your pipeline is dependent on work that you're selling, you need to be able to create a resource plan for that work once it hits a specific stage. So that way you understand the timeline that's being promised to the client, is that the timeline we can actually deliver on based on who we have? That is going to be key. And lastly, all of this leads to reporting. So when you have this information all in one system, you're creating those resource plans in Tempus Resource, you're creating those portfolio hierarchies, watching the budget go from the portfolio, the program, the product, the project, whatever that looks like, and seeing that roll down and that roll up based on the resources assigned to the project, the financial information that is related to the project, having all of that in one system and then reporting on it in a way that makes sense to your leadership team or to those people who need to see it is going to be so crucial. And honestly, and it's funny when you think about it, because I ended the data quality conversation with the end of the same conversation we had about adopting your resource planning processes, showing people the data that they want when they need it. The last thing is that you're not alone. A lot of organizations are in the same boat right now. A lot of organizations are asking the same questions, and a lot of organizations want to talk to people. They want to understand how other people are doing it. And I think that's really, really important in today's world, is understanding that you're not alone in these challenges, in these questions, and wanting clarity for specific things. So, regardless of what role you play in your PMO, regardless of where you are in your maturity, I think these are things that we can all really think about, especially as we're ending one year and going into another.